Morning walk. A morning walk below the mountains. Sun rising. Wow, that dark cloud has just moved in. Just walking and not noticing it. Anyway, through the rice fields, get fruit trees, mangoes, coconuts, avocado. In Africa, most of the countries you go to, you won't find rice fields and vegetables or anything growing, just bush. Right after the rainy season's finished, Africans cut down the bush and burn it, leaving the sand, the soil exposed to blow away. Anyway, they have not yet begun to see the necessity for change. It is like most people in America still holding on to the old system that was built to keep black people in place. And they think that the system was only for black people. The funny thing is that change is coming so rapidly. The leaders are now seeing we got problems, and if we don't try to fix this problem, we got to do it urgently. So it's a mad rush to do all kinds of things, like the war in Ukraine. Can't let Russia, China, India, the BRICS come up, because you're a man with a hammer, and your hammer allows you to rule the neighborhood. You'll kill anybody who say, hey, look, it's, people starving. They taught African leaders to do the same. They taught other leaders around the whole planet to do the same. Big armies that can't defend the country but kill people in the country. But I don't know if you're watching what's happening to Joe Biden. Came into the office, they knew he had mental issues. Brain is going. But they thought it would give them time to fix some of the problems. But Joe Biden is not really. Trump has got the things that make America great again. But the normal path for nations who have lost their power they never come back to the path. It's a continual downward spiral. And which can be slowed occasionally, and it might be slowed for 10 years, as in the case with Obama. But then it comes back rapidly. That 10 years, within 2 years, it moved to the position that it's supposed to be if it had gone slowly. If it had gone the normal path. Anyway, that's the way it is. now the world is scrambling. I hope you understand what I mean by scrambling. They are running, putting in place plans to deal with Trump, who they expect to be the next president. Because nobody bothered to pay attention to the mental state of Joe Biden. It's just like nobody paid attention to what was happening to America and saw that it was declining. As long as America was printing money, everybody was willing to forget about what was happening to America. This didn't start the other day. Go back to the Vietnam War, where a bunch of men with bow and arrows. And when I say bow and arrows, I don't mean physical bow and arrows, although they did use that too. Compared to what the technology the U.S. was using, might as well have been bow and arrows that the Viet Cong were using. Vietnam, the Middle East, you got a nation like Israel who the latest technology. Not even 2 million Palestinians, because most of them don't want to fight for their freedom. There's a small group called Hamas to give Israel hell of a time. And then America decided to stir up the hornet's nest. And the Russians said, you know what? Okay, here's what we're going to do. We give all the people who are going to attack America everything they need to do the job. And the person who was leading the charge to prevent the decline of America, I mean, within the last year, you can see how his state has deteriorated. And it mimics. You see what happened to Europe. In 1 year, all of Europe industry is gone. Most of it relocated to China because the businessmen were more interested in making money and keeping their countries fighting against the Russians. So now you have no businesses in Europe except for the arms industry. And they're just trying to build that because they were building like what they thought was going to defeat Africa and all the other small nations on the planet until they run into a pier that they used to laugh at the weapons that he used. Now his weapons are destroying the European weapons. So the whole thing is falling faster than they can repair. And now they got a grand plan that they're going to have 800,000 men and an army in 3 years. That's going to go fight China and Russia. Or the BRICS, really. But the problem is the resources to build. And what they're doing in Africa was trying to take the land from the normal people and put it in the hands of the government so that the government, the old thieves in Africa, can give them all the resources that they wanted for Korea and Japan to build weapons. Because the factories are gone from Europe and America. So the Koreans are going to transform their building capacity, ships and cars, into war making material industry for the war that is planned. Most people are worried about the living conditions that they're in America and Europe. When I say most people, I'm talking about black people. Caucasians are not in this conversation, except in how it relates to Africa. African leaders, the black people in America and Europe, are arguing over who is best president between Trump and Biden. Places like Nigeria, trying to figure out what to do so they can move their money to some other location or secure their own family. Ghana is under the same pressure. All of them. Because now African youth have examples to follow that don't look like the ones in their country or in America or Europe. The Europeans are trying to get them out of the country. One of the things that America is doing is allowing young people to come into the country. Because America is growing old quickly. And the systems that the old people depend on were taken out. Incidentally, by the same old people when they were younger. They were convinced to take them out because it benefited black people. You can't have a welfare system that's going to support the poorest in your country. All these black people are taking all our money. So they took it out. And now they're bringing in people from everywhere in the world. They just open the border and let the flood come in because they needed those people quickly. The gene pool is dying. Just like Africans are leaving Africa and going to Europe. people from the so-called Middle East were leaving there and going to Europe. The gene pool was dying. Now the Europeans saying, hey, we got too many of them. And the freedom that they have, these people went from a controlled environment to freedom to do anything that they want, and guess what they're doing? Anything that they want. Anyway, we'll continue this story about what's happening in the world and how it's going to affect black people and how you're not prepared for it. Still fighting one another for whichever slave master you think is going to win. All right. Have a great day wherever you are. Peace.